The content is being sent to third party. Fine, got it. Ay, ay, ay.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Gurudev, all glories to assembled Vaishnava devotees, and all glories to our revered speaker for today, Her Grace NITYA KISHORE Devi. Mother NITYA KISHORE, we are very much thankful and appreciative that you could be here today to speak the transcendental nectarian Srimad Bhagavatam with us all. Of course, this is not the first time you've been doing this seva for quite a long time with us, and we really appreciate that. So we may put the verse on the screen, and then you will take it over from here. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
I can't see the verse, the text. Okay, great. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya. Naram Chaiva Narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Tato Jayam Udirayet. Srimad Bhagavatam 2:10-34. Ata param susakshamata avyaktam nirvisheshanam anadimadya nidhanam nityam vam manasa param. Synonymous. Ata, therefore, param, transcendental, sukshamatamam, finer than the finest, avyaktam, unmanifested, nivreshashanam, without material features, anadi, without beginning, madhya, without an intermediate stage, nidhanam, without end, nityan, eternal, vak, words, manasa, of the mind, param, transcendental. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Therefore, beyond this gross manifestation is a transcendental manifestation finer than the finest form. It has no beginning, no intermediate stage, and no end. Therefore, it is beyond the limits of expression or mental speculation and is distinct from the material conception. Purport. The gross external body of the Supreme is manifested at certain intervals, and thus the external feature of form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not the eternal form of the Lord, which has no beginning, no intermediate stage, and no end. Anything which has a beginning, entering, and end, it's called material. The material world is begun from the Lord, and thus the form of the Lord before the beginning of the material world is certainly transcendental to the finest or the finer material conception. The ether in the material world is considered to be the finest. Finer than the ether is mind, intelligence, and false ego. But all 8 of the outward coverings are explained as outer coverings of the absolute truth. The absolute truth is therefore beyond the expression and speculation of the material conception. He is certainly transcendental to all material conceptions. This is called nirvisheshanam. One should not, however, misunderstand nirvisheshanam as being without any transcendental qualifications. Visheshanam means qualities. Therefore, nir added to it means that he has no material qualities or variegatedness. This nullifying expression is described in 4 transcendental qualifications, namely unmanifested, transcendental, eternal, and beyond the conception of mind or word. Beyond the limits of words means negation of the material conception. Unless one is transcendentally situated, it is not possible to know the transcendental form of the Lord. Vandeham Shri Juta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitantam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavatara Bhaktakyam Namami Bhaktashaktikam. Hare Krishna. This verse and the meaning are incredible, isn't it? This is, thank you for the screen, Bhagavatam purport. Well, of course, so many people in the entire world, devotees or non-devotees, teachers, philosophers, they recognize the Vedic scriptures and Vedic knowledge as superior, more complete than any other knowledge in the world. And we can see here by this verse and the words expressed in this verse the depth of Vedic scripture or presentation, explanation about the matter of who is God. You know, it's like you want to explain something and then you can explain in a very simple way, like any subject you can explain. You can talk about anything on paper or a machine. You can explain this in a very simple way. Or let's talk about the machine. You can tell what's the machine for a kid in a very simple way. Or if you're talking to a software person, like a phone, for example, or a mechanical engineer, you can talk about the same subject in a very deep way, in a very detailed way, in a very specific or scientific way. You can talk about the same subject. So spirituality, it's everywhere. Like in Bhagavad Gita says, religious principles are in Tamagun, Rajagun, or Sattvagun, or religious processes or philosophy and everything. So the Bhagavatam, when I speak about God and I speak about spirituality, is very, very deep. And we can see in this verse right now that we are reading in this verse, the superiority of the Vedic knowledge. It is telling this is different to say that we are the best, or there is nothing like us, or we are very good and we have the best and you don't have. It's not that. It's the same as to recognize that this subject is better explained by this author or this university or this professor or this course. You can say that. It's not, you're not, when you say that, you are not offending or disregard anybody. It's just the truth. Okay, if you think you can have something like that in your books or philosophy or this concept, you please present it. But we can say the Bhagavatam, when you speak about okay, who is God, is like it's beyond everything. It's beyond the words. It's something that never started and doesn't have intermediate stage and doesn't have a final stage. It's nothing that we know in this world right now, which has a concept, a beginning, an intermediate stage, and an end. And that's one point about the depth of the verse and the meaning that Srila Prabhupada, the purport that Srila Prabhupada is giving. I'll go back there. Don't go back there right now. I just tell one more point that I was thinking when I was reading the purport and the verse, is that this purport and the verse is for any person in any varna and any ashrama to try to understand. What I want to say is that if you're a brahmachari in the temple, it doesn't mean that you are endeavor to understand this verse by default, if you understand me. It doesn't say, because some people, they say like, there was one sannyasi that he fell down and he was leaving Mayapur, and he was saying that if you are a brahmachari or sannyasi, you have a 100% or a 75%, 100% chance of to be liberated or to understand God. And if you're grihasta, then you have 75% or 50%. Actually, you know, I was shocked when I heard that, but I didn't say anything, and he was in good standard that time, so we believe him. But actually, after he fell down, and but he's falling down, and by reflecting on this, I think he's completely wrong. You know, by studying in depth, he was completely wrong. It doesn't mean your ashram that we qualified you or unqualified you. Ashram is just about the nature that somebody born in this lifetime. You have that we got from past lives, and now because of that you have one kind of nature that will tell you or will guide you or will put you more comfortable in one of the varnas, in one of the ashramas. Just like that. Any person and any varna in any ashrama, it depends on them, their endeavor and past lives activities. So it's very interesting to just to put it that a brahmana, only a brahmana can realize it, and one person to be a brahmana has to born to a specific family. That is caste system. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he came to do this revolution, exactly this revolution. And in Indian schools, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is known as a revolutionary, but not an incarnation of God, but a revolutionary that appeared in Bengal in this year, blah, 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 to teach this revolution. This is what Indian schools say. So they hear in Indian schools about Lord Chaitanya, but from different point of view, not religious, but a personality, very important in the history, who did the revolution. This is one thing. Second is Prabhupada, that Prabhupada was a grihasta the whole life. So you can't say that in the day that Srila Prabhupada left his house, when his wife said, when he asked his wife, you know, I was talking to devotees here in Mayapur and we were laughing because I told them, look, if you are 40 years married, don't ask your wife if you want me or the tea, because she would say the tea. This is what she said to Prabhupada. I'm sorry. Because it's just so many years marriage that she said, what do you want, me or the tea? And she said, I want the tea. Don't ask this question. It was a bad decision, but after 40 years marriage, you know, she said that. And nowadays we can understand after we mature that before we talk, oh my God, this is just so transcendental that Srila Prabhupada and his wife, and it is for him to live because Krishna had the plan. Is everything is true also, but it's also true that they were married such a long time and they never got so along so much. So then she also, not only Srila Prabhupada wasn't happy, but she wasn't happy either. So she said, I prefer the tea than you. And then they fought and then he left. We can't say that Srila Prabhupada acquired all the knowledge and realization that he had about God in that time that he left the house. And then he took formally, Vanaprastha, and then formally sannyas, then all the knowledge came to his mind. But we can't say that. Srila Prabhupada was the whole life observing, studying, writing. He was doing that for the whole life. Nowadays, we as grihastas, parents, uncles and friends, we can say that this is the whole life of preparation. And every day you can remember, think about it, and reflect about God, about Krishna, but remember his teachings by talking about him every day, everywhere, in any ashram. You can stay in the temple, and in the temple you are involved with politics, gossip, offenses, and just time wasted. And maybe you're not happy because you really don't want to be there. You're supposed to be there for some reason, and then inside your heart you're so upset with everything because you're just confused. It also can happen inside the ashram. This also can happen in the ashram, and you can say that oh, grihasta life is so because we have so many things, kids and bills to pay, and a job and a boss and this and that and time, and then in the temple you just all the time you have the deities, you have the mangalarti. Yeah, you can have that, and you may don't get advantage of the environment that you are, or maybe you live in the holy dome, but your mind is really not there, your consciousness is not there, you're not taking advantage. So it's not about the physical body, but it's about the consciousness. It's not about, you can be inside the temple, in the brahmachari ashram, you have everything there for you to advance spiritually, maybe you don't. You're not doing. So this is the reason sometimes some brahmacharis leave the ashram and then they go forever, and then they come back, after 20 years. Actually, just a second. I'm giving class. So I'm just trying to make a point according to the verse and the purport, that it's very deep, and anybody in any ashrama can every day think about that and pray for enlightenment, and pray for knowledge, and recognize in their hearts, in any ashrama they are, any place they are, in the forest, in the city, anywhere, that God has no beginning, no intermediate stage, and no end. And this is very beautiful, isn't it? It's very important, this point. Can you please put there the Prabhupada's purport? Srila Prabhupada is telling that Krishna manifests an external body in certain intervals, okay? Is not the eternal, and thus the external feature of form or form of the Supreme Personality is not the eternal form of the Lord, which has no beginning, no intermediate stage, and no end. That's a very important point if you will reflect just about this sentence here. Actually, Krishna, he's unlimited, so he's not, what's the name? He's not restricted. Like, no, I only have this form. No, if he wants, he appears in this world and get a gross body, and then he's a baby and he's a kid, and he has intermediate stage, and he has end also when he leaves. He leaves the material world. Okay, so this is a point here. Anything which has a beginning, entering, and end is called material. This is Prabhupada is giving here in the meaning the qualities of what is material. And thus the form of the Lord before the beginning of the material world is certainly transcendental to finest of the finer material conception. Krishna is in the beginning, he is the creator, and then I love this. He is the finest, of the finer material conception. That's very beautiful. The ether in the material world is considered to be the finest, finer than the ether's mind, intelligent, and false ego. But all the eight altars cover explain as altered coverage of this absolute truth. Is therefore beyond the expression and speculation of the material conception. You can't, with a material conception come from this world, explain God or tell who is God. Shouldn't come from material, any kind of material concept. It's beyond the material concept. It's very deep. It's very interesting. It's mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. Incredible. He's certainly transcendental to all material conceptions. This is called Nirvishesha, Srila Prabhupada. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. One should not, however, misunderstand Nirvisheshana as being without any transcendental qualifications. Visheshana means qualities, therefore Nir means he has no material qualities. Nullifying by describing as four transcendental qualifications, namely unmanifested, transcendental, eternal, and beyond the conception of mind or word. This nullifying expression is described in four transcendental qualifications. What is that? Unmanifested, transcendental, eternal, and beyond the conception of mind and word. In thought or in word, you can't express it. When we heard the very famous verse, Ishvara Paramakrishna Sachidananda Vigraha, Anadir Adir Govinda. His name is Govinda. Anadir, he has no beginning. Adir, he is the beginning. When we heard that, it gives a knot in our thoughts, isn't it? Because how that can be? How that can be? Anadir Adir, no beginning. He is the beginning. For us, we just can't understand that, isn't it? We can't. We can't. And this is like when this is when we are overcome by and overwhelmed and overcome by spiritual death. Spiritual death. We are overcome by that. So how's that possible? We can't understand that. So this is power. Power of the Lord, power of the transcendence, power of the spirituality. That's something that we just can't explain. And if you try to do that and force to do that, we just show our arrogance and our ignorance. And actually arrogance that, okay, and if I can't, it means it doesn't exist. But it's just because you can't, because you're limited and you are human. And I even don't want to say here that so many things that we cannot do, so limited we are, what we speak about, try to understand how God is Anadir Adir Govinda. There's so many things that you cannot do. This is easy, you can say, but so what to speak about Anadir Adir Govinda? So that's the depth of the subject matter of God, of spirituality, of transcendence. Okay, I think this is wonderful, and everybody in any age or ashram or have to think more about that when we wake up, when we go to bed, during the day, by observing. You can observe being the ashram, you can observe being a mother, being a father, being a wife or a husband, inside your house, outside your house. You can be connected. You take a bus, you think about it. You wake up and you see the sun, you think about it. When the rain is happening, you think about it. You think about it all the time. And that's in Bhagavatam, 10th canto and 11th or 12th canto, they all think about that how you can learn all the time by observing the nature. That's true meditation and theistic meditation, and it doesn't depend where you are. So you can say, somebody can say, oh, but it's easier when we are only between devotees inside the temple. You know what? This is a wrong belief. It is not. It depends on one's nature. If your nature is to be in the ashram, you realize and be happy there. And you be studying, observing, because this is your natural environment, you want to be there. But if it's not your nature to be in the ashram, you have to know that. And you are just forcing yourself because you have some beliefs that's better. And then you're just there, but actually you can't advance because this is not your place. You shouldn't be there. It's not your nature. So you can't advance. You get disturbed, you get distracted, something else show your attention. This is not for you. So there is no place easier or better, but the place where your nature, according to past lives, put you, and then you there already comfortable, and then from there you can advance spiritually. You can please start your questions or comments. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, NITYA, KISHORE, Devi. Dear devotees, if anyone may have questions, comments, or realizations to what is said in the text purport or has been shared, please, you may indicate by using the hand emoji or your physical hand, and you'll be asked to unmute to ask your question or to speak. Mother NITYA, KISHORE Srila Prabhupada was saying in the purport, of course, the text itself tells that the unmanifested world, the uncreated world, which is Anadi Nidanam, which is beginningless and it has no end, cannot be understood by this material mind and material senses. So my question is, why then are we even trying to talk about it? Because talking about it, we are using our material mind, we are using our material senses. I'm using my material mind to ask this question now. But I also understand how limited my mind and intelligence are, yet is the only tool we have in this particular world or this particular domain to do whatever But we are told that these senses cannot understand. So I don't know. Do we try to study to understand this using our mind and intelligence in this material world, or at some point this mind and intelligence, this material mind and intelligence will be thrown away somewhere, and there will be a new importation of new spiritual mind and spiritual intelligence. Hare Krishna.
No. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. According to Rupa Goswami, I forgot the verse, that the objective of the process is to purify the senses, because with the senses purified and the purified mind, you can see God. Actually, we can understand that since we begin the process till today, some changes happened in us. We cannot see fully 100%, but we can understand that, of course, things changed. Since we are chanting, since we are studying, and since we are practicing, we became vegetarians. We went to ceremonies of sanskaras, fire ceremonies and yagas and pilgrimage, and all these activities. They're very powerful spiritual activities that purify the mind and purify the intelligence and purify the senses. With this purified, you can advance in spiritual vision, jnana chakshu, or spiritual understanding. Spiritual understanding means understand God, but now we can say, all of us, maybe we don't understand 100%, but we recognize and we observed and we feel God's presence more than a person who haven't done what we did in our lives, the changes that we did. So according to Rupa Goswami, what's the verse? Oh my God, I can't remember now. There's so many years that I don't tell this verse, so I forgot. I started this verse so many times and listened so many times, but now I forgot. So this is Rupa Goswami explaining how you can really be engaged in Bhakti Yoga when your senses are purified. So that is one thing that we have to understand, that this is a journey. We are in a journey to that. But if we try to artificially say, or faking that we already there, it's a problem. But there is no problem to understand how much advancements we had done since we started. Like Satyananda Swami said, that Srimad Bhagavatam is a book for transformation and not for information. So Srimad Bhagavatam, by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, we really transform how we see the world, how the world works, how people are working, how people are behaving, how things are going, how life is going. So we can understand that so much transformation in our vision and senses had happened, and it helped us maybe not to see completely fully as a very advanced spiritual person, but we can understand today in our lives that our spiritual vision developed since we started the process till today. So even trying means you are not trying immediately to see God, you're not trying artificially, but you are preparing yourself to reach such a stage. Like Srila Prabhupada explained in that class, he said that one car breaks on the street and then car is not running. He's saying like that. And then you have to call somebody. So you call a person that walks in the street to see the car, he can't see anything, he doesn't know. So you call a mechanical engineer and he can see what happened in the car, but to see what happened in the car, he had to go to university for 4 years or 5. So he can touch the pieces, Srila Prabhupada was saying, in the machine and tell why it's not running. So Srila Prabhupada is saying in this class that the same way for you to see God and understand God, you have to prepare yourself. So what we are doing by doing sanskaras, pilgrimage, listen to Bhagavatam, and reading to purify the senses, and with the senses purified, you can advance in spiritual understanding or spiritual vision. This is what we have learned. That's my understanding, and this is what we have learned in these years of practicing Bhakti Yoga.
Well, thank you so much for the response to my question. So, if I understood you clearly, with these same material mind and intelligence, when they are purified, then we may be able to serve and understand the Supreme Lord, even with this material body, which is also like contaminated. But when it's purified, we can use the body, the mind, the intelligence to serve the Lord. All right, thank you.
Exactly.
Well, I think my purification is very much delayed. I pray to have my mind and intelligence purified as quick as possible, so I may be able to understand the Lord a little better. If I may ask this question.
Saying that.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Tell. No, Jiva Goswami is saying that God is achintya. It's beyond chintya. Chintya means thoughts. It's beyond the thoughts. So achintya means the one who cannot be understood. But I understand that is what we can see about who is God and how he's creating and controlling and maintaining everything. How much we can see is limited to our condition now, and because we are very small, we have limitation, always will have, to understand and to see the greatness of God and his creation and activities. And I don't think this is the recognition of our position. I think it's a very big step in spiritual understanding. Like this is I am limited and this I cannot do. But it's so great and so incredible and amazing. But how much I can see, I cannot see much, and this is not a problem, a God's problem. That's my position that's limited. This recognition, it's by itself a very big step towards spiritual understanding. How limited I am, what my position is. That's my understanding.
Well, thank you so much. But I was also going to ask in the purport, of course, it was in the text and also in the purport. We have one devotee in this Sangha called Anadi Nidanam, very beautiful name. So beginningless and endless. So Srila Prabhupada says that the Supreme Lord is called Nirvisheshanam. And Srila Prabhupada trying to help us understand Vishenam means qualities and nil means without. So this confuses some people to thinking that the Supreme Lord has no form because he has no qualities. But Srila Prabhupada explains that it is not that the Supreme Lord has no qualities, but he has no material qualities. So I just wanted to know what are some of the differences between material qualities that we find in this material world and then spiritual qualities that are said to be found in the spiritual world. What are some of the examples? And how do we know, or how do we differentiate that this particular activity is material, this particular activity is spiritual?
This activity is material, or this material activity is spiritual.
Mm.
Material is spiritual. Everything we are doing here in the material world, it's with the material body and inside the modes of nature. Actually, we can call some names, spiritual activities we can say when we are chanting, and at the same time we say, the chanting or devotional service is in the three modes of nature. And it's true, because we can say that somebody maybe is serving in a church that we call temple. It's a church, and it's maybe jealous there present, or envy, or aggressiveness, or some other bad material qualities. Or maybe it can be full of kindness, or and in love, and sometimes it's not. So I think there are some concepts that we talk about it, that they are confusing, and we shouldn't give so much attention, because I think they are speculation, or they are just names. Because you can say, oh, they say deity worship is a spiritual activity, but then we are doing this many times, committing offenses, and or in a very bad way. And sometimes it's full of love, but it's very rare, and it's not in balance. At the same time, as Prabhupada said, when you execute, like you are engaged in devotional service, you do something wrong, Srila Prabhupada said, you get the reaction that the wrong thing that you did. And whatever you're doing good, you're getting the benefit in whatever you're doing good. So when you are worshiping the deity, it's a pious activities, pious, but with a result that will give you more spiritual knowledge instead of material benefits. Worshipping deities, worshiping the deities, or giving spiritual knowledge will give you spiritual benefits. So you can say that's a spiritual activity, but at the same time, if you do something wrong, meanwhile you are doing this, some aparat, some offense, you pay for that too. So yeah, it is way, like the point is, this kind of questions or understanding, they don't have a very simple answer. It's complex, and it has a complex answer, because the answer for this question is in many scriptures, different places, that you have to assemble them, to try to understand that in a more deep, in more depth, because sometimes we're so artificial, and so fanatics, and it doesn't work like that for our complete understanding. We have to try, like, if you really want to worship the deity, then you have to, if you dare, and then you have to understand that not only the deity should be treated well, but everybody around you, you have to be kind as much as you can. So more purity will be there in your activity. So this consciousness is very important. And like, no, I'm here because I'm doing this here. It is a supreme spiritual activities. I am very good. I'm the maximum, and everybody around me is I don't have to treat them nicely, or I don't have any obligation, because this is the most important. Like, we do that. We don't have any obligation, like, paying taxes or behave properly or study or blah blah blah, because whatever you were doing is supreme, is the best, so we don't need anything else. Entitlement, and we know nowadays this is not true. We shouldn't do that. We are not free from any obligation. Actually, Rupa Goswami said that don't neglect ordinary activities, daily ordinary activities. Well, only
Yeah.
this your only question is a complete, complete class, another class.
Yeah, well, I think the explanation you gave makes sense to me because it's not like a straightforward answer to be given, because there are lots of things. But I think we have Kusha Prabhu's hand up. He want to say something or ask something. Kusha Prabhu, please, you may unmute.
Hare Krishna, Madam, our obeisances. My question is on the purport, where Prabhupada said the material world is begun from the Lord and thus the form of the Lord. So if the material world is the form of the Lord, became from the Lord, why are we told to give up the material world? We are using the form of the Lord to serve the Lord. Why must we leave it if everything is Krishna?
What's the question?
If the material world, from the purport, Prabhupada said the material world is the form of the Lord. And our preaching, we are telling people to renounce the material world. So if everything is part of Krishna and the material world is part of the Lord, why must we renounce what is of the Lord?
That's a very good question and a very good observation. Well, the point about to desire to leave the material world is due to the four miseries: birth, death, disease. So this is the reason why we are advised to leave the material world for an eternal life. Why? Because of the nature of this material world. So the point of the acharyas is, if you are eternal, you don't need more births, you don't need more temporary stuff and the uncertainty of this world. Because like Arjuna, when he was present here with his brothers, they were devotees, Krishna was present, and still the 5 kids of Arjuna got beheaded by a crazy person during the war. And then you can say, why, if he didn't have any karma and he was with Krishna was present, so why did it happen to Arjuna? You can say. So according to Prabhupada purport, and answer for this question is that if you were here, and according to the time that you are here, if there is war or Kali Yuga or flood or blah blah blah, it doesn't matter if you're pure, you have to go through it, because this is the nature of this world. It's not because you were here, then material world changing the nature. So we are advised, like, look, you're eternal. You don't need that crap. Sorry to say. You don't need that. Leave it. You can Like Prabhupada said, if you want a body to eat shit, you can get it, a pig's body. And if you want a body to dance with Krishna, you can also can have it. This is what Srila Prabhupada said. I found that Srila Prabhupada's a statement, very powerful statement, because it's in your hands to develop a desire to go to something else, but meanwhile, you hear, you shouldn't take the material world as an enemy, but you can see the mercy of the Lord in this material world, the seasons, the grains, the people, the humanity, the possibilities. Like the material world is Krishna's kindness to the conditioned souls. Why? Because whatever you need, it's here. Like the verse in the Ishopanishad, wherever you need, it's here. So Krishna, he created the material world, and this is according to our needs. It's here. Our needs can be fulfilled in the material world too, but it's temporary, unstable, dangerous, and there's suffering. So this is the reason why. But if you live here with the vision that it's all enemy and it's all bad, you can't see the Lord behind creating and controlling everything, and you can't see the mercy, his mercy, through the wind, through kindness, through friendship, through love between each other, to the sunrise and sunset, through nature, to what you can do, what you cannot do, and even through the suffering of karma law. If you can't see that, like in the 11th canto or 12th canto is explaining, if you can't see that, the opportunities that you have or everybody has, you're not really connected. You're not really connected to Krishna, to spirituality, if you can't see that. Krishna's greatness of his creation. Actually, this is where we should go, not become an enemy for yourself or to others, full of bitterness and anger, and and put this everywhere and say, oh, this material world is so bad, this is all bad, I want to live here. So why you see things like that? Actually, in the Bhagavad Gita, it says that this process is performed in a joyful way. What does it really mean? If you're always complaining, always find faults, and always live in a bitter state, I'm not saying that you shouldn't recognize when things are bad. That's foolishness. I'm not saying that. But you should have the power to leave a toxic, violent relationship, a bad situation for your own benefit. You're free to do that. Who is holding you? You have to do that. You don't live in places where you are mistreated, not appreciated. That we have to do it. You recognize the bad in things too. You're not an idiot fool walking here, oh, everything is good. Somebody's beating you, mistreating you. Oh, it's okay, my karma, blah, blah, blah. This is foolishness. Bullshit, you cannot do that. I'm not saying this. I'm saying that, a person in balance can recognize their strength, their weakness, and look for a place where they have peace of mind, peace for doing their things. Actually, it doesn't matter many times. Of course, it's better to have a financial life in balance. But many times people have everything, and because the mind is not in the right place, they're still not happy. They're still bad. So how that can be? So we know the problem is in the mind. And even when you have just what you need, very basic things, if your mind is under control, you still can be happy. So I hope
Well,
my explanation answer your question, but it's not good to be bitter and empty to the material world, have this enemy, relationship with the material world, but go through a positive understanding of what this material world is about, and understanding this is not stable, this is a temporary, and so many things going on here, and since I am eternal, I want to live somewhere else. That's the main point, why you have to live here. You want to say anything, Sahadev?
yeah, actually, what I wanted to say, you just said it, because Srila Prabhupada said it in the same purport that Krishna Prabhu was making a reference to, that because we are eternal beings, and this form of the Lord, this external gross form of the Lord is not eternal, we do not want to be here forever. We do not want to be here for so long, because in the purport itself, Srila Prabhupada says, the gross external body of the Supreme is manifested at certain intervals, and thus the external feature or form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not the eternal form of the Lord, which has no beginning, no intermediate stage, and no end. So this is not the original form of the Lord, it's the external, it's not the eternal form. And since we are eternal beings, we want to belong to the eternal world where there is no beginning, no end. So Srila Prabhupada says, whatever has beginning, has intervals, and has end is material, which is contrary to spiritual. And we want to be in the finest, which is the spiritual world. The material world is fine, it's a fine world. The heavenly planets are finer, and the finest is the spiritual Vaikuntha. So that is where we want to be. Like Mother was saying, we do not bash against the material form of the Lord, because it's still the form of the Lord, but it's inferior. We want to taste something superior. That's my little understanding from the purport Mr. Prabhupada gave also. Well, thank you for the question, and thank you for the answer. Dear devotees, if no one has any more question, then we may have to bring this to a close. Our revered speaker is a little overwhelmed with other engagements today.
It's a complex subject, meaning and subject, but they state till the end means that they're hearing with attention, but they don't want to say, because there is not much to say. It's complex. It's something to reflect about it. Okay, if I'm right, put the fingers like that.
You are.
Am I right?
Yes.
Put the finger.
It's
Look
complex.
at that. It's complex.
Yeah, it is.
It means
It
that
is complex.
they're not there, huh? Or you don't have finger. Yeah, finger. Let's see who is hearing now. Few people are hearing. Put the finger like this. Gayatri. Thank you, Gayatri. Fingers. Madhuvan. Thank you, Madhuvan. Where is Narayana, Hari Chakra, Bhakta, Hassan, Yashoda, Devi, Vishwambar? Those are there. Oh, thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, thank you, Vishwambar. Look at that. Now they are there. Look at Devi. Okay. Because they were sleeping. Yeah, guys. Because I'm talking so, and they're just like, come on. Bhakta Hassan, hi, Bhakta Hassan. I can see you hitting Bhagavatam. Who else? Goose iPhone, where are you, man? What are you doing? Drive on what? Eating? Hare Krishna, Africa. Come
I
on.
think Bata Hassan has something to say or ask. Do you have a little bit more time?
Yeah, a little bit, yes. A little
Okay.
bit.
Okay, so Bata Hassan, please you may unmute.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Mother,
Krishna.
I said my humble obeisances. So great to Guru all grace to Prabhupada, and all grace to you, and all grace to the Assembly devotees. Thank you for the wonderful class and the wonderful answers you gave. I still remember you, Tapasia Kunde. I still remember that. Yeah. uh, my question is a bit okay. Let me start it this way. When Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada came to America, he started this movement with the hippies. And if you look at the hippies, the life of the hippies, if you describe it, it's a very, very, it's in everything material, and they were doing a lot of different kind of things, which is very, very bad. Fortunately for them, when they meet Srila Prabhupada, they'll be able to change, and they suffer a lot with their intelligence and everything to help Srila Prabhupada to preach Krishna consciousness. Especially those who were born in ISKCON family, they started the Krishna consciousness from early stages. So I can say it is very, very, very easy for them to do the devotional service. I remember one time my teacher was saying the same thing, that if you grew up and you become a devotee, you find it very, very difficult. So this comes my question. Me, myself, I can say that I'm struggling in my devotional service. And if you hear the stories and the pastimes of other senior devotees who have left their body, or other senior devotees who are still here, who started this movement in early stages, you see how successful they are doing in their Krishna consciousness. And in this, for instance, because of the problems and the difficulties around us, even if you are chanting, you find it very, 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 very difficult to concentrate. And sometimes you begin to feel that you are a failure or something.
Mm-hmm.
And this becomes a struggle in the mind, that how are you going to do this? How are you going to advance? As much as you try, you still feel that there's a lot of difficulties around you, which is not helping you to advance. So how can one deal with this situation? Because maybe some people are going through this same situation. So how can one deal with situations like this?
This is not serious at all. I'll tell you. And your question is how to go through struggling, meanwhile practice the process. In the process, is that correct? This is the question.
Yes.
Okay, great. What Rupa Goswami said already. So you don't have to worry about it so much. Worry doesn't help in anything. You can focus, first of all, that's very important. You focus what you can do. Good. Don't focus in what you cannot do. First. Secondly, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Parandrishtva Vivartante. Parandrishtva means a superior taste. You only can live an inferior taste when you acquire superior taste. And it takes little time. So then, what Rupa Goswami said? Utsaham Nishcha means you have enthusiasm a lot. You want badly. You want it badly. This is Utsaha. Nischayad. And then you just don't give it up. It doesn't matter. You don't give it up because you want badly. Will help in what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita about the superior taste that you have to develop. It takes time. He said, Utsaham Nischayat Dairat. Be patient with yourself. And you see in the due course of time, things will happen. And you really, it's like chanting Hare Krishna or hearing Bhagavatam is a medicine. It's same effect. You have a headache, and then you take paracetamol, you take it, and then you cannot see how it's going to the blood and how it goes to the brain, and then cease the pain. So the same way, you are not seeing now how by see the deities eating, pay obeisances, chanting, or hearing Bhagavatam, and doing, or after some years, you see this change in your heart, and your heart and your behavior, you see the change. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like it says in Sikshastakam, that all the power of God in this era is in the holy names. This is a very serious thing. Namna Akari Bahudha Nija Sarva Shaktis. Namna Akari. In various names, in so many names, Bahuda, many. Namna Akari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis. Nija, the own Sarva Shaktis. All the energies of the Lord in this era is in the holy name. So the holy names are so powerful, the whole process is so powerful. You just believe that, and things will change. And don't force yourself, don't feel guilty, don't feel bad, just to walk on the path. If you cannot running, you walk. You get the results. That's for sure. The only thing that you don't need is stress. Don't stress because of that. And don't live with negative people around you telling you, this is wrong, this is bad, why are you doing this, why are you doing that? Don't live with these people around you. Why? They don't have spiritual understanding. And why they are concerned about somebody else's life. Somebody else's life, we don't know from where you are coming from. Even you don't know. You don't know what you did in the past lives and why in this lifetime you have some difficulties or not. Sometimes, look, I have something to share. I had 3 kids. One it was maybe 1 year old, another one 3 years old, and another kid 7. So where is Japa, for God's sake? With 3 kids in this age, you have to bring kids to the doctor, you have to feed them, you have to look after them properly, give food in the right time, isn't it? Wash the clothes, change them, giving them bath. Where is Japa? For 6 years, I didn't chant any Japa, consciously. I took my Japa and I said, I cannot fight the kids because of the Japa. Then my kids will hate the Japa. And we will hate Krishna. Mom is not taking care of us. Why? Because she's chanting this thing, she's there. This is the way they understand. So then I took my japa and said, look, I can't. And put the japa there and embrace the kids. Today, all my kids love Krishna. Love so much. All initiated, all chanting. This is the only thing that kids understand, how much love and attention you are giving. I have to go to the temple. I have to go to the temple. And then you drag the kids with you. They are very small. They cannot understand the noise. They cannot understand the rest. This is what kids do. You have to do that. So you are in Maya because now you have to take care of your kids and you cannot do spiritual things because you think it's spiritual. You take care of your kids properly will enhance their spirituality in the future. So people go through problems and difficulties and they just have to be patient and they do their duty. And the duty is there. If you are a father, you have a house to take care, wife to take care, rent to take care, your kids to take care. That's your main duty. And then comes your church, and then comes your spiritual life. You know, this is what Grihastha life is about. But the problem, Bhakta Hassan, is that in the temples, we only hearing that if you are not a monk, exactly a monk, waking up that time and 24 hours you're chanting or doing some seva, blah, 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 you are in Maya, and you're not doing that means you have to think bad about yourself and feel bad and think, when I'm going to be a monk. And this is completely wrong understanding. Because Arjuna told Krishna, I want to renounce. And Krishna said, Nana, Nina, no. You're doing your duty. What's your duty? You have to fight because you're a kshatriya. If you die, you go to heaven planets. And if you win the battle, you have what you have here in this material world. That's your duty. But so, and what's the problem is, your consciousness is wrong. You have to remember there is a controller, you are a jiva, you are eternal, and there is a karma law, and there is this, that. You have to have knowledge, but don't change your activity. Change your prescribed duty is Maya, and prescribed duty was to fight, to kill, to manage weapons, to go in battle. Can you imagine? That's the real Bhagavad Gita. Not going to the 18th chapter and say Sarva Dharma Parityaja Mam Mekam Sharanam Vraja blah 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 and tell you Sarva Dharma, leave all Dharma, leave everything, leave your family, leave your job, leave everything, leave your bank account, blah 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 blah. This is not. Bhagavad Gita is what Arjuna was before the battle and what he became. He was a soldier, he was a warrior. He continued to be a soldier, continued to be a warrior. He did his duty, but his consciousness changed. That's the same. So when you understand in this way, there is no much difficulties or problem or unhappiness. Okay? So don't feel guilty. Don't feel there's nothing wrong with you. You're just not a monk. And you can be a devotee if you are a monk or not. It doesn't matter. You're just not a monk. Yes or not? Isn't it, Sahadev? You're just not a monk? Easy.
Oh, thank
Easy.
you. Thank you so much for...
Look, Sahadeva, his parameter, Bhakta Hassan parameter, is which parameter is this? He's saying, I am struggling, I'm not doing this, doing what? From which ashram? Listen to that. That's very interesting. What's his parameter is that he's saying, I'm struggling, I'm not doing right. Compared to whom? Compared to what?
Well, thank you so much for the question, Dr. Hassan. Very important, relevant question, intelligent question. And As always, NITYA, KISHORE, DEVI, thank you for the answer. The answer you gave, actually, I was almost going to forget something, but it reminded me of something I needed to share today, because in yesterday's discussion, there was this topic of some very dangerous symptoms, and actually not symptoms, but things that will be taking place in this age of Kali. So it's about 5 minute video. So when our speaker is done speaking, then we'll play that video to remind us all what is going on in this age of Kali and what we can possibly do to avoid these effects of Kali on us in this age. Like Mother NITYA KISHORE was saying, because of how intelligently she did not abandon, or she did not abandon the children for the sake of japa. Now, today, she is still chanting, and the children are also chanting their devotees. The children did not and do not feel neglected. So, our children, as we understand, are gifts of Krishna. And Krishna says that when we serve his devotees, that is when he becomes very pleased. So, as devotees, we are taught by our superiors and our gurus, our acharyas, how we can do both simultaneously without compromising the other. But it is very important that we act in such a way that we do not make our children or loved ones lose taste in performing devotional service. In terms of anxiety, it is said that one should always have some sort of devotional anxiety. If we don't have devotional anxiety, then that is also very dangerous. It means we are lazy, we're not doing something. We should be doing something to serve the Supreme Lord, and from such desire to doing something big for Krishna, for Guru, there may be anxieties because things will not happen exactly the way we want all the time. So it's healthy anxiety. So when we have anxiety, it's not all bad. We just have to make sure that it does not lead us to stress, which is bad. So I've talked a lot. Mother NITYA KISHORE, thank you so much. If you have concluding word statement you want to make, you may do that, and then we will share the video for everybody to watch. Very nice
Okay.
video.
Okay, thank you. Well, I just want to say that I understand your point of view and I respect your point of view, Sahadev. But what my experience shows that devotees are very sincere and pious.
Yeah.
And we don't have a good results just by telling them to feel guilty about what they cannot do.
Mm.
You know, like
Yeah.
it's better to feel good about what you can do and how much advancement you can make, and desire, you always can desire, like I wish that I could do this, that pilgrimage, read this book, or I would like to do this or this desire. But also it takes little time to develop in the heart. It takes little time. Sometimes, many times in the beginning, people are struggling with something else. You know, they're not there yet. So this is what I want to say. You know, but when they focus what and they can do and be appreciated for their contribution, their advancement, and the spiritual experience is better.
Yeah.
to good memories and happy memories about Krishna consciousness.
Thank you so much. I remember, sorry, I remember there was a time our senior god brother here, His Grace Shima Varaha Prabhu, shared a popular prayer. It's called the Serenity Prayer. And it goes like this. Let me see if I can share it on the screen. Serenity Prayer. Where is it? Okay. It says, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Give me the courage to change the things I can. And give me the wisdom to know the difference. So just the first
Beautiful.
paragraph is very, very important. This should be the mood of people in general, and particularly devotees. There are many things we cannot change, we cannot do much about. We just pray for the Lord to do something about it while we earnestly and sincerely try everything possible to do what we can to make things better. But things we cannot do, no matter what we do, we cannot change. We don't kill ourselves over it. Otherwise, we will be dead before our appointed date of death. Like Shakespeare says, coward men die several times, many times before their natural death. So, if I may share the video, we'll do that. And devotees, please hang on. It's just a few minutes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. 5 brutally honest predictions by Krishna for Kali Yuga, with one secret boon. Yudhishthir was ruling Hastinapur righteously after the Kurukshetra war. One day, Krishna visited Hastinapur. Yudhishthir was in the court and the 4 other Pandavas were having a conversation with Krishna. Krishna, now Dharma is dominant. How will Kali Yuga be? Will Dharma be sustained there from start? How will the life of people be affected in Kali Yuga without Dharma? Asked Arjun. Krishna replied, Oh, it's not that easy to explain. Better let me demonstrate to you all about the life of people in Kali Yuga. And saying so, Krishna took a bow and stringed 4 arrows and shot them in 4 different directions. Krishna smiled and ordered the Pandavas, Now, each of you go and bring back 1 arrow to me. Each one of them went in 4 different directions in search of the arrows. When Arjun picked an arrow, he heard a very sweet voice. He heard a cuckoo singing in charming voice. Mesmerized, he stood there listening to the whole song of the cuckoo. When he looked up for the cuckoo, he was shocked to see the cuckoo singing and at the same time eating the flesh of a live rabbit. The rabbit was crying in agony. He was astounded to see such an act by a divine bird. He left the place wondering why such a divine cuckoo would do something that cruel. The next person to reach for the arrow was Bhim. Bhim picked the arrow where 5 wells were situated. One widespread single well was in the center, surrounded by 4 wells. The 4 wells were overflowing with very sweet water, as if they were not able to hold the water. But surprisingly, the big one in the center was completely empty. Puzzled at the sight, Bhim left for the palace. Nakul, who had found an arrow already while on his return to the palace, saw a cow which was about to give birth. He waited to see the cow and the calf's condition after the birth. After giving birth, the cow started licking the calf. But to his surprise, the cow did not stop licking. It kept licking even after the cow was clean. It kept licking the calf even after it was clean. With great difficulty, people separated the calf from its mother. But by the time they removed the calf from its mother's side, the calf was badly injured. Nakul wondered on such a behavior from such a calm animal. He returned to the palace, pondering on the behavior of the cow. Sahdev, when he picked the arrow which fell near a mountain, he saw a big boulder falling. The boulder was falling in full speed. Uncontrollable, it was destroying and crushing everything on its way down. But the boulder was stopped by a small plant which was on its way. Sahdev was stunned at the sight. The boulder, which crushed big trees and demolished rocks into pieces, was stopped by a small plant. He rushed towards the palace to ask about the reason for such an act. All the 4 Pandavas returned to the palace and explained what they had seen while they were gathering the arrow. They all sounded surprised, confused, and startled, and asked for an explanation from Krishna. Krishna smiled and started explaining to the Pandavas. Arjun, what you saw is how the relation between priests and devotees will be in Kali Yuga. The priests will have very sweet voice and great knowledge, but they will exploit devotees the same way the cuckoo was doing with the rabbit. He turned towards Bhim and said, Bhim, what you saw is how wealth will be in Kali Yuga. The poor will live among the rich. The rich people will have massive amount of wealth, which will keep increasing and overflowing. But they will not offer a single penny to the poor ones. They will waste the money for themselves as they have more than what they need. But they won't be sharing it with those who are needy and suffering. Just like how the 4 wells were overflowing while the center one was empty. Krishna looked up at Nakul. Nakul, what you saw is how the relationship will be in families. That's how the parents and children's relation will be. In Kali Yuga, the parents will love their children so much that their love itself will destroy the lives, dreams, and the future of the children. And Sahdev, what you saw is how people will live in Kali Yuga. People will fall in the terms of character. They keep crushing and destroying everything on their way to success. Just like the boulder, they won't listen to anyone. They will be unstoppable. They won't follow the path of dharma. But when they get to know what they have done is against dharma, when they realize that all they have done are selfish acts, when they call for help from God, they will be stopped and saved from falling further down. They won't get hurt and they won't be broken into pieces. Just by one call on the God's name will help them to hold them from doom. Just like how the small plant saved the boulder from falling further and getting wrecked into pieces. So do you all understand how hard life will be in Kali Yuga and how easy it will be to reach for God? Krishna smiled at the Pandavas, who were enlightened by Krishna's words. Simply by chanting the holy name, one associates with the Lord directly. Anyone who does this is certainly delivered. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that if you chant or if you associate with the chanting of holy name of Krishna, then you will get the highest perfectional stage of life. And we should accept that Krishna has descended at the present moment in the form of his holy name.
Because we are so weak in this age and there are so many problems, it is very, very difficult to make a solution. Therefore, Shastra says that you simply take to the chanting of the holy name of God. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Iva Kevalam, Kalau Nasti, Vanasti, Vanasti, Gatirannatha.
To be free from all the miseries in this age of Kali, there is no alternative, there is no alternative, there is no alternative to the holy name, the holy name, the holy name of the Lord. The Kali Santaran Upanishad states, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. These 16 names composed of 32 syllables are the only means to counteract the evil effects of Kali Yuga. In all the Vedas, it is seen that to cross the ocean of nescience, there is no alternative to the chanting of the holy name. The Narad Pancharatra says, the reality of all Vedant is that the chanting of the holy name is the only means to cross the ocean of nescience. Sri Madhavacharya has said that in the age of Kali, one can satisfy and worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari simply by chanting the holy name. So please chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and always be happy. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, devotees, thank you for your patience and listening to this wonderful video. It says, forewarned is forearmed. So this is what we are being told. Hare Krishna. So we're going to humbly request all the devotees to kindly unmute, and we all chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to express our appreciation to our revered speaker, Her Grace, NITYA KISHORE Devi. Jai. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vancha kalpa tarabhyascha, kripa sindhubhyo, patitanam pavanebhyo, vaishnavabhyo namo. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.